I'm feeling really excited. I don't know why. We've had a pretty rough start.
Where I fell on my arse last night. I'm starting to feel like it's a bit of a cursed trip.
Not crossing an ocean like this.
I feel like this should be down in here more.
Dolphino!
So the other super fun thing, blind approach with no sails and no maps.
Welcome to our self-inflicted adventure. I'm Kiara and this is Adam. A few years ago, we walked away from our life on land to pursue travel and adventure aboard our floating home, the Millennial Falcon.
Last year saw us improving ourselves and the boat whilst we tackled our first Atlantic circuit. Join us as we come full circle back to the Caribbean, where we'll commence preparations for our next big challenge. Last episode on Sailing Millennial Falcon.
It was amazing! I'm going to get him to introduce something to you.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, so I'll leave you to it.
Like, you're really using muscles.
Your muscles. A few things left to do, but we want to start shaking out the boat as we're doing those last minute things. We've been doing it all week, and the only question is should we set off and do it for 3 weeks straight?
It looks alright.
We took the boat out for our final shakeout sail to test the full array of sails and to ensure that everything was working properly before we set out on our 2,200 nautical mile journey across the Atlantic. Alright, so it's the day of leaving. I am feeling really rushed. Had a good start of the morning, trying to do everything on the last minute checklist, you know, like baking some food, making some dinner for tonight, and then just everything starts adding up, you know. When we're arriving, we need to tell them in advance of us arriving in the country, which is St. Martin. However, we won't have any internet when we get there, so we need to send all the forms off now. It's just the last minute things that you don't think are going to take so long, but they end up taking a lot longer than you think, and right now it's almost midday, and I feel like I've lost my head start. As soon as we go, I know that I'm going to be chilling out, just relaxing. There's not really much that we can do underway, but you know, it's always just those last minute preparations, telling people you're going, that you suddenly think about, oh, I've got to do this, oh no, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. Anyway, engine's on. We're just leaving regardless at this stage. If it's not done, then it's not going to get it done. Alright, we're underway. I'm going to hand over to Adam, who is very happy at the moment, unlike my last update.
I don't know, I mean, yeah, I'm not anxious, but I'm feeling really excited. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. We're about to cross an ocean, but like I guess I'm giddy because there's a notable drop in the level of apprehension that I usually feel on a big departure, and this is our biggest voyage yet. Which to me, who is a very detail-oriented person and very risk-averse, if I'm feeling good, then touch wood, you know, we must be doing something right. And we must be like there. We must be, you know, imagine the next one and the next one and the next one after we've made more upgrades and improved the boat more. And ourselves. And like, it's going to get to the point where it's like, oh, should we see what's like in Chile this time of year? And 3,000 miles away, off we go. It's just exciting to think that a day may come when we can set off on a really long voyage as happy as it was a day sail. It also helps that the sun is out. It's sort of a really cruisy 10 knots. We've got a good forecast. So
No cloud in the sky.
Yeah, my mood is
explains your mood.
My mood is inversely proportional to the amount of clouds in the sky. The fewer clouds, the better my mood. So it's the morning of day 3. We've had a pretty rough start, not rough as in the sea state, although it is starting to get a little choppy now. Rough as in just a series of events. We've had a real mixed bag of weather, and we've had a few little sort of almost failures. Yesterday we lost the chart plotter briefly due to bad connections, which we fixed. Seems to be behaving now. Before that we sort of had intermittent comms, we couldn't get a forecast, and we were starting to think, well, if we've lost forecast on day 2 and we can still go back to land and sort it out, we should probably do that. Then we managed to get a forecast, so now that's cooperating, which is never a nice way to solve a problem. What else happened? There was one other thing and I forget what it was. Anyway, it can't have been that bad. But on the upside, we also had like beautiful, we had probably 12 to 15 hours of just wing on wing, just effortless sailing, dead downwind with the pole out. You know, exceeded all my expectations. We had dolphins playing under the boat at night in the bioluminescence, which I can only describe as ghosts dancing around in a lightning storm. It was pretty awesome. And yeah, now we're sort of very tired. We're sort of trying to catch up on a bit of sleep because neither of us really got a chance to go downstairs and have a good solid 3 or 4 hours sleep. We've both been sleeping in the cockpit just as sort of backup for one another. But now we're hitting our stride. We're currently heading pretty well south-southwest down the west coast of Africa. We are going to need to jibe and put in some western ground soon because there's a big high opening up off Cape Verde in our path, which we sort of want to try to go around the top of, or just get a glancing blow on the edge so we're not sort of becalmed out there for days. Other than that, it's business as usual. The sea's pretty choppy, short period sort of just behind the beam, and the breeze is, you know, anywhere from 15 to 25 knots, scheduled to pick up in the next 24 hours, which will be interesting. So we're kind of, today's the day where we got to get all the rest that we can and set the boat up for this evening, because I think this evening is going to be a bit of a bollocking.
You haven't already mentioned the part where I fell on my arse last night and broke my coccyx. No, I really bruised my back, so I'm moving so slowly today.
Would you like to tell everyone how you did that? How you managed to bruise your backside from your backside?
I fell off the chair. There was a wave. It was getting really rolly last night, and I was here just like lying down but propping myself up. I obviously didn't prop myself up enough, and one wave came and I'd almost fallen off, and I was like, yeah, save myself. Immediately another wave came and I went straight on the floor, and I was like, what happened? What's going on? Anyway, I sat on the floor laughing for about 5 minutes while in pain, and now I can't move very easily, so it's been a quiet day. Well, we are currently doing wing on wing, and the sea state for the last few days actually has been a little crazy, but we've been seeing about 20 knots or so of wind and the accompanying seas. So you can't stand out, you can't really do too much other than lie here in the flop position.
Watch now for a demonstration.
So we're currently wing on wing, and it's very rolly. It doesn't look like it right now because I've started talking about it, so the ocean's decided to behave. But typically it's very much wallowing left, wallowing right. But for the first time, I think ever, we're actually able to go in the direction that we want. It is a little bit laborious at times. It's more work. Like you can go wherever you want, but it's more work, and the ride is not as nice as if you were just like running off the wind, sort of as deep as you can manage without the sails flapping.
Adam's found a new snoozing position. Looks like he's dead. He's not. He's just checking on the hydrogen. He's chasing noises. What is it?
Oh, I hear. Can't place it.
Someone had better keep the sleeping bag warm. Since he's not here to hold on to it, it's mine now. So I am in the middle of my morning watch and sun's just coming up, which is always nice. It's probably about 7 a.m, probably actually about 8 a.m. and we are making full westing. You can see that because the sun's behind us, we are going full west, which actually isn't too bad. We've kind of finished a lot of southing and we planned for tonight just to have like kind of not a night off, but like not stress too much about making our waypoints and to just go west and figure out how to get some more southwesting done a bit later when the sun's up. Now, we had 2 days of kind of a little bit crappy weather. It wasn't anything that we couldn't handle. It was more just like 25 knots of like 2 to 3 meter seas, and it was just a bit too wild to use the pole. So we've been making headway where we can, but it hasn't been great, and it's annoying because it's like that was like the first 2 days out of 3 or 4 or something. So I'm hoping that today the wind's going to calm down a little bit and we'll be able to put the pole out and make some more headway to like where we actually want to go. But not too bad. I'm very, very much looking forward to going south towards the equator, where I might not have to sleep in a sleeping bag on my shift. That would be really, really lovely. It has been very chilly at night, so I'm looking forward to a bit of warmer weather.
It's a bit rolly.
It's very rolly. It's like being on a roller coaster. Where it's like, what water?
Typical. Now it's going to be great. There'll be no issue. I have to keep rolling. I've got to catch one of those waves, the good ones.
So you're going to be there a while, buddy.
Typical.
As soon as the camera turns on, the sea's like, okay, I'll behave.
I'll be good.
Sorry.
Just shaking out a reef in time for that pending squall behind us.
Oh no. Oh, why did we look first?
It's alright, I think we'll still be alright for a squall.
Well, it's the beginning of the 5th day and Adam just woke up. The wind's dropped off a little bit, so we thought that we would put a wing and wing out. As we were doing it, the furler, there wasn't enough line on the furler, and Adam was up there the other day because the furler had tangled up and he had to let go of some of the line. So anyway, we were just putting some more line on the furler. There's a lot of oil up there. Just got some on my hands, and something is not right with our furler. It's kind of grease or oil all over the line, and a lot of it's kind of dripping down from the bottom of the furler. So not the greatest start to the day. Adam has already called it and said he thinks that this might be the reason why we have to stop in at Cape Verde. So it's not a great start to the morning. I'm starting to feel like it's a bit of a cursed trip. I don't want to have to buy a whole new furler in Cape Verde, which is like the smallest island in the middle of nowhere.
Hey, you know what? Just ease that top of the... Yeah. It's like the drum is lifted off the furling tube. And it's like the whole extrusion is lifted up in a way that it shouldn't.
The whole, like, I feel like this should be down in here more, like the whole thing is lifted, and like you can't usually see in here, like the tube has like hoiked itself, like when it was strangling it, it like pushed it up or something.
Oh yeah, you can see that black thing is coming further and further up.
And as you were furling it, it was like, I don't think there's much left holding them all together. I think we're going to lose this if we keep pushing it, so
we're definitely going for Cape Verde. Not crossing an ocean like this. I don't know. We just have to try and sail with, we'll put the pole away, no more fancy stuff, just sail south as close to Cape Verde as we can before we blow anything out. Yeah, this is not good. I reckon this is going to blow out if we keep abusing it.
Can we try and jury rig something, like put a rope there to tie it to here so it doesn't fall completely? Securing it with the spinnaker halyard.
And so we sailed on, nursing a 3/4 jib until the predicted calm set in and the motor came on to take us the rest of the way into Mindelo. As if on cue, the local dolphins seemed to be aware of our predicament and came to lift our spirits.
Check these songs off the list. Dolphins do not respond well to Train or the Jackson 5. But that was quite fun. Alright, update of the day. Yesterday we found out that our furler was broken. You have a possible culprit.
Yeah, so 2 nights ago I sort of looked forward as we were shaking out a bit of head sail. And I looked forward and I sort of said, if we picked up a wrap somehow on the furler, like under the drum, and I was it was a night time and I didn't really want to go forward to look at it, but I did go forward. And I'm glad I did, because we did have like 2 wraps under the furler. And so I couldn't do a lot. I had to sort of unwrap manually those wraps by rethreading all of the line again. Thought I sorted that problem out, and it was getting dark by the time I fixed it. Went back to the cockpit, carried on sailing like nothing else, and then the next day we were going to pole out the headsail, so we were furling it in to then furl it out against the pole on the other side, and I noticed the leech tension, or the luff tension rather, was very low on the headsail, so I tried to crank it on the halyard.
So the headsail just looked pretty soggy.
Yeah.
It's just like falling down.
Am I using too many words?
Oh, yeah. So guess what Popeye does? So he's winching and winching on the mast, and all of a sudden we hear this giant pop.
We need stronger cleats on the mast.
What is this? I'll show you what it was.
That is a separate issue. It has nothing to do with this particular separate issue.
Popped out the freaking cleat on the mast.
I was trying to get the tension right.
He literally, once again, Adam puts his whole body weight on the issue. Same issue that happened with the hydromaid as well.
But the furling tube and furling drum, where the bearing sits under the drum, have sort of lifted. I think what's happened is when we picked up that wrap, it went around the base of the barrel and then it got tightened and sort of wrung its neck, which lifted the tube up. Suffice to say, we're not feeling confident about the furler.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. We have limited furling capability, and we are headed south for Cape Verde, Mindelo, on an unplanned sort of detour.
Did you want to mention about the lack of charts?
Oh yeah. So the other super fun thing, which is not at all fun, is that unbeknownst to us at the time, our charts end exactly halfway across the first island of Cape Verde. It's a bit of a screw up on my part. I wasn't planning on it being an alternate, but I should have checked them. I thought I had charts for it on the plotter, and it turns out we don't. So for a while there, we were on a blind approach with no sails and no maps.
Thankfully, Adam's dad was messaging saying, okay, there appears to be a rock in the harbour at these coordinates, and the entrance to the harbour is at this coordinate, and that's all we had for a while.
However, as much as I may have screwed up in my planning on the short term, I've very much excelled in my planning in the long term, and years ago now, I rigged up OpenCPN with a GPS puck and the charts of the world, which are all free available online. It's all open source, on a laptop and as a redundant plotter, and I'm reaping the dividends of that now because I rigged it up yesterday.
Yeah.
We have maps and we have GPS. I'll just have to be sat downstairs on a laptop, keeping us off the rocks while Chiara drives us in. 198.2 miles to the opening. It's a calm presently, so the motor is on. We've got less than 8 knots and we can't unfurl the head sail to a decent enough size canvas to get us moving, so unfortunately we're steaming. We need the juice. It's just been a really average passage. It's been sort of cursed. We lost chart plotter briefly, we lost AIS briefly, we weren't sure about the radio. Iridium was misbehaving, we thought we'd lost that. We got all those things back and then we started the motor, dodgy battery temperature sensor wire, so the alternator's not charging. Fix that one. I'm just tired. I just want some easy miles without having to stress.
But the silver lining of those clouds are that we have now achieved about 800 or 900 miles in a southwest direction, which means that when we set off from Cape Verde, if we get this problem fixed, we would have done 1 week of the whole passage, 1 week of the 3-week passage already done. So that's a real plus for us.
Hey, what's the big deal? We're stopping in Cape Verde. We didn't plan to. There's a larger plan at play here, which is now sort of not in jeopardy, but under strain. But hey, Neptune
Let's go exploring.
Neptune says explore Cape Verde. Who are we to say no?
Pretty much.